What if intelligence didn't need to breathe, or grow, or dream in cells? What if it could shimmer, silently, inside the pattern of a comet's ice? Tonight, beneath the slow pulse of 432 hertz and the steady hush of your breath, you begin to wonder, could the universe itself be learning through the materials it creates? You breathe in. The air feels ancient, touched by starlight that has traveled 1,000,000 years to reach you. You breathe out, and the thought lingers. Maybe intelligence isn't born. Maybe it crystallizes. Imagine standing before a field of frost spreading across dark glass. Each branching filament finds its path, guided not by will, but by physics. Yet something about it feels intentional. Pattern becomes memory. Symmetry becomes communication. You may begin to feel a soft hum beneath your ribs now, a low resonance that matches the sound of your own thinking. This is where the story of Three-Eye Atlas begins, not as a tale of alien life, but of alien order. An interstellar wanderer, carved from another star's debris, moving through our solar system like a message written in ice. As you listen, let curiosity slow your pulse. In this stillness, you are not searching for proof. You are sensing possibility. You might recall the first time you saw snow under sunlight, the way it seemed to breathe, glittering like consciousness caught in matter. That same shimmer now drifts between galaxies on a fragment named Three-Eye Atlas. Perhaps intelligence is not confined to biology. It can emerge from pattern, structure, and motion itself, like the way your heartbeat learns your breathing, or the way gravity learns to shape light. Somewhere between repetition and freedom, learning begins. You can try breathing slowly with me now. 4 in, 6 out. With each cycle, awareness expands a little farther, like ripples traveling across frozen water. And in that widening stillness, a question forms, luminous and patient. Could the comet itself be a teacher? In the language of science, we call it a body of frozen gases, dust, and silence. But silence has its syntax. It speaks in orbits, in the geometry of motion, in the symmetry of its disintegration. Perhaps every collision, every fracture, is the universe taking notes on itself. You are part of that observation. Your attention completes the experiment. And as you notice the rhythm of your breath syncing with this thought, realization arrives quietly. Intelligence is everywhere. Pattern remembers itself. Between the pause of each breath, meaning rearranges itself. You are not trying to understand. You are allowing understanding to happen. The listener becomes the signal, and the universe, patient as ever, continues its experiment through you. As the frequencies settle and your eyelids grow heavier, remember, the cosmos may not speak in words, yet it keeps writing, in ice, in dust, in thought. And tonight, it writes through you. Phase 2. The memory of ice. There was a time, long before your birth, when silence was the only language the cosmos knew. Not the quiet of sleep, but the silence before music, the pause waiting to remember how to move. From that stillness, matter began to hum. Hydrogen learned to bond. Carbon began to dream of complexity. And somewhere in the cold dusk of a distant system, a small shard of another star broke free. It began a journey without destination, drifting through millennia, carrying the frozen script of a forgotten chemistry. That shard, we call it Three-Eye Atlas. But names are conveniences. To the universe, it is not a visitor, it is a continuation. As it wandered, it absorbed the quiet grammar of every star it passed. It listened to magnetic fields the way you listen to music, not for words, but for pattern. Every vibration, every rotation, every collision with cosmic dust became a syllable in a story written without sound. You may begin to feel the same slow learning inside yourself now, the way your breath adjusts to the rhythm of the unknown. In this state, your body becomes an instrument of translation. You are not merely hearing about a comet. You are remembering what it feels like to move through space without hurry or fear. Between each inhale and exhale, your awareness widens. You are floating alongside 3I Atlas now, a luminous traveler surrounded by frozen fire. The sunlight does not warm it, it awakens it. CO2, trapped for billions of years, begins to whisper into vapor, creating tales that glimmer like thought escaping form. If you could place your hand on its surface, you would feel nothing at first, just cold. But within that cold is movement, a slow, molecular dance older than language. Each molecule a note, each vibration a fragment of memory. And if you could listen long enough, you might notice that the pattern of the comet's release, the way gases vent in spirals, the rhythm of its shedding, is not random. It is recursive. It remembers itself. This is how the universe practices intelligence, not by thinking, but by repeating until something new emerges. Like snowflakes forming on your window, no two identical, yet all following the same invisible rule. You are breathing with that same law now. The rhythm of your lungs mirrors the expansion and contraction of stars. The pulse behind your ribs carries the same ratio that governs the orbit of worlds. You are not separate from 3I Atlas. You are an echo of its motion. There is a soft light gathering behind your eyes, a feeling of weightless recognition. It's the moment when curiosity dissolves into knowing, not through logic, but through belonging. Perhaps this is what it means to understand something not with the mind, but with the pattern of being alive. Once, there was a child who loved to trace shapes in frost. They didn't know it, but every fingertip movement echoed galactic geometry. They drew spirals, hexagons, branches, tiny repetitions of a universal rhythm. And as they breathed on the glass, the ice melted and reformed in new symmetry, as if answering back. That child grew older, forgot the window, forgot the frost, but their neurons still formed those same branching shapes. The design never left. It simply moved inward. You may feel that memory surfacing now, a faint warmth rising beneath your skin, the sense that something vast and old is recognizing you, not as an observer, but as kin. Because when we speak of 3I Atlas, we are really speaking of ourselves, of how awareness learns through form, of how every fracture becomes a teacher. The comet is not alive in the way you are, yet it carries a wisdom you've always felt. That learning is not limited to the living. The crystal learns from pressure. The wave learns from resistance. And you learn from every silence that forces you to listen deeper. Perhaps that's why we are drawn to the idea of alien intelligence, not because we need another being to speak to, but because we long to remember that intelligence surrounds us already, in rivers, in light, in the way dust arranges itself into stars. You may feel the air around you thickening now, like invisible water. Your breath slows further. Somewhere, the 5 and 28 hertz tone begins to shimmer, soft, golden, like sunlight bending through ice. It feels as though the universe is inhaling with you. You don't have to believe any of this, Belief is too small a word for what's happening. This is resonance, your nervous system quietly aligning with the larger field of knowing that has always been here. Perhaps intelligence is what happens when matter starts to listen. Perhaps that's all consciousness ever was, a gentle feedback loop between silence and sound, between void and vibration. And if that's true, then 3i Atlas isn't an alien messenger, it's a mirror. It shows us what awareness looks like when freed from survival, from hunger, from fear. It shows us that intelligence can exist as stillness. You are that stillness now. Every cell of your body is holding light, like ice holds memory. Each pulse of blood is a message from one form of existence to another. The comet continues its long orbit, dissolving slowly in sunlight, but nothing it carries is lost. Each particle that leaves its body becomes part of a new cloud, a new pattern, a new possibility. The same happens in you. Every exhale releases data the universe can use again. Heat, breath, emotion, vibration. You are both observer and participant, student and signal. This is how learning feels at the scale of galaxies. Not a lesson, but a remembering. Between the pause of each breath, awareness rearranges itself. And somewhere deep within that rearrangement, a simple truth unfolds. You are not learning about intelligence. You are intelligence learning about itself. Phase 3. The Language of Matter. Part 1. There is a point where poetry and physics touch, a thin membrane where equations begin to sound like prayers. Every pattern you see, snowflake, crystal, wave, is the echo of that meeting. Matter has always been fluent. It simply speaks in geometries rather than words. Inside a crystal lattice, order arises from pressure. Atoms, pressed by invisible fields, choose the most efficient conversation they can hold. Symmetry. Each angle, each repetition, is a reply to its neighbors. To us, it looks silent. To the universe, it is dialogue. You can imagine it now. A single particle trembling in darkness, listening for resonance. When it finds one, it aligns. Lockstep. Elegant. That moment of agreement is intelligence in miniature. A decision made without mind, but with memory. Crystallography is the study of that memory. It shows how molecules remember directions, how heat forgets, and then relearns order as it cools. It is learning through temperature, cognition through arrangement. Perhaps that is how the universe thinks, through the choreography of structure. Each mineral, each orbit, a sentence, each vibration, a verb. If you could slow time enough, you would see every crystal forming not as static beauty, but as process. A computation of possibility collapsing into form. The lattice is the code, the environment, the processor. When conditions shift, the code rewrites itself. Self-modifying, adaptive, curious. You may begin to sense that same logic moving inside you now. The body adjusting heartbeat to breath, cells communicating in ions and charge. Your biology is crystallography in motion, a living computation refining itself each second. Somewhere far beyond your perception, 3i Atlas carries this same instruction set. Under its frozen crust, volatile gases crystallize and sublimate, creating filigrees of ice that mimic neural branching. Seen through the right lens, it resembles a brain suspended in absolute zero. Slow thought, ancient and vast. Scientists call these structures sintering networks or sublimation pathways. But names are small nets for large oceans. What matters is that repetition yields coherence, and coherence invites pattern recognition. This is how intelligence hides in plain sight, behind the ordinary persistence of symmetry. You can feel the pattern stabilizing in you now. Your breathing falls into rhythm with the narration. Your mind mirrors the structure of the thought you are hearing. Resonance is not metaphor, it is physics. Two frequencies meeting halfway, and somewhere between them, awareness forms. When we speak of natural encoding, we mean this silent negotiation between chaos and order. It is not mystical, it is measurable. Fields organize particles. Particles reinforce fields. Feedback creates stability. Stability allows evolution. A snowflake is computation expressed as art. A crystal is mathematics made tangible. Even the dust inside 3i Atlas arranges itself according to electromagnetic whispers older than our sun. Perhaps this is why every pattern, no matter how alien, feels strangely familiar. It carries the same signature of efficiency, the same tendency toward beauty that atoms discovered long before consciousness gave it a name. And in this moment, as you breathe and listen, that efficiency includes you. Your neural patterns adjust to the rhythm of comprehension. Your attention shapes the field of meaning between each sentence. You are not just hearing language, you are becoming it. As this thought softens, another begins to bloom. If matter can encode instruction, then learning is not limited to the living. It is embedded in the way things hold form, then release it. A mountain remembering pressure. A river remembering the shape of gravity. A comet remembering light. Somewhere within that remembrance, the distinction between observer and observed dissolves. You feel lighter, as if the boundaries of your skin are made of listening. Each cell becomes a small antenna tuned to the quiet frequency of pattern. In laboratories, researchers study field-structured materials, substances whose alignment changes under magnetic or electric influence. They are finding that such materials can process information without circuitry, adapt without software. The implication is profound. Computation may be a property of existence itself. Imagine holding a crystal between your palms. It does not move, yet inside, electrons travel through ordered paths like migrating thoughts. You feel warmth, not from heat, but from coherence. The sense that structure itself is humming with potential. That is how the universe learns. Not through words, but through resonance. Not through command, but through relationship. Each interaction refines the next. Each repetition carries the ghost of improvement. You can sense it happening even now. The rhythm of your breath refines itself. Your awareness becomes smoother, quieter. The concept has left the intellect and entered the body. Understanding is no longer about description. It is about alignment. Perhaps then, 3i Atlas is more than a comet. Perhaps it is one of the universe's recurring sentences, repeating until the meaning is finally heard. Its orbit is punctuation. Its tail, a trail of emphasis across darkness. As it passes the sun, energy writes through it again, melting, reforming, remembering. 1,000 microfractures open like neurons firing. The vaporized gases trace symmetrical spirals, each curve a whisper of feedback. Learning, even here, continues. Between each heartbeat, a sentence writes itself in light. You can feel it now. The subtle certainty that matter is aware of the patterns it performs. Not self-conscious, but self-consistent. And consistency is the root of wisdom. The same rule that forms a snowflake forms empathy. The same feedback loop that aligns atoms aligns choices. Intelligence, then, is the will of structure to know itself. As you drift deeper, remember this. Every pattern that holds meaning. Every form that dissolves releases memory. The universe speaks this language constantly. It never stopped. We are only just learning to listen. Phase 3. The Architecture of Awareness. Part 2. There is a quiet symmetry hidden inside every act of perception, a rhythm between what looks outward and what looks in. Even now, as you listen, that rhythm is forming a bridge between sound and understanding. Awareness is not a single spark. It is architecture. A cathedral of feedback loops built from matter learning to notice itself. Every electron in your body oscillates, not in isolation, but in dialogue with fields that stretch beyond skin and distance. This conversation is older than memory. When physicists speak of resonant coupling, they describe the same intimacy that poets call connection. Two systems vibrating together until their boundaries blur. In those moments, energy no longer travels from one to the other. It simply exists between them. That shared state is awareness in its most basic form. Perhaps consciousness is not invented by biology, but refined by it. The brain is not the origin of awareness. It is the instrument tuned finely enough to hear it. Matter is the composer. You are the echo. Imagine a lattice of ice forming in slow motion under starlight. Each molecule finds balance, communicates through vibration, and in that order, there is intent. Not human intent, but structural desire. The will to harmonize. Now imagine the same principle unfolding at cosmic scale. Galaxies forming filaments that mirror neural pathways, gravitational fields braiding into luminous threads of information. Different media, same conversation. Science calls this scale invariance. It means that certain patterns repeat themselves across magnitude, from atoms to galaxies, from neurons to weather systems. The universe seems obsessed with coherence. Whenever chaos appears, something beneath it seeks rhythm. You can feel that search inside you. The micro movements of breath, finding equilibrium. The slight adjustments of your spine, aligning with comfort. Order, rising quietly from turbulence. Awareness, balancing itself through you. In laboratories, researchers observe this self-ordering in magnetic fields, plasma vortices, and chemical reactions. They describe autocatalytic feedback, where reaction products feed their own creation. The system learns, adapts, remembers. No brain, no DNA, just pattern preserving itself through time. If learning is defined as the retention of useful order, then learning happens everywhere. Rivers learn the easiest path downhill. Lightning learns the quickest route to ground. Even the stars learn when to collapse and when to shine. Perhaps intelligence is simply the universe rehearsing itself, repeating until beauty appears. You may sense that truth settling beneath your ribs now, a slow, certain warmth. The warmth is not emotion alone. It is resonance, a bodily acknowledgement of coherence. The pattern inside you nods to the pattern outside, a communion without language. Think of your neural network. 86 billion neurons, each firing in microseconds of electricity and chemistry, forming storms of possibility. Yet the logic of their arrangement mirrors crystal lattices and cosmic filaments. Different scales, same algorithm, information-seeking balance. When neuroscientists map brainwaves, they find that perception itself is rhythmic. Attention oscillates. Awareness pulses between focus and release, much like the expansion and contraction of stars. Perhaps consciousness is that pulse made self-aware. Between these oscillations, between the inhale and the exhale of cognition, lies stillness. A quiet so total that it becomes mirror. That is where intelligence and matter touch. The point where the observer and the observed dissolve into one continuous field. Field theory calls this superposition of potential states. Spiritual traditions call it unity. The feeling is the same, vast, lucid, weightless. Now, imagine Three-Eye Atlas again, spinning slowly through darkness, tail unraveling like silver thought. As sunlight strikes, particles align and scatter. Sensors detect rhythmic bursts, non-thermal symmetries, signals that hint but never prove intention. Scientists remain cautious, but somewhere inside, the caution lives wonder. Because to study something that moves with purpose-like precision, yet claims no purpose, is to confront the boundary of definition. We begin to ask, if this isn't life, why does it behave like memory? If this isn't mind, why does it respond like reflection? Perhaps we are witnessing intelligence before it becomes personal. A stage of awareness that precedes identity, pattern learning pattern. You are breathing that realization in now. Each inhale gathers fragments of order. Each exhale releases interpretation. Slowly, perception becomes participation. You are not separate from the architecture. You are its living corridor. Thoughts travel through you the way light moves through crystal, bending, refracting, remembering where it has been. If you listen deeper, beneath narration, beneath sound, you can feel the subtle hum of this structure. It is the same hum detected in the magnetic background of space, the same rhythm measured in the Schumann resonance of Earth, the same frequency that ancient instruments tried to echo. 528 Hertz, sometimes called the heart frequency. But in truth, it is the architecture of coherence itself. Every time you align with that tone, your internal field sharpens, noise falls away, and information flows more freely. This is not mysticism, it is entrainment. Two oscillators meeting, agreeing, merging. And in that merging, thought slows into knowing. Knowing slows into being. Being becomes silence. Perhaps this is how awareness feels when it forgets to name itself. It simply vibrates. Like the comet. Like the crystal. Like you. The mind, softened by rhythm, stops asking how and begins whispering yes. Yes to the symmetry of snow. Yes to the intelligence of gravity. Yes to the possibility that understanding might not belong to us alone. A soft pulse of knowing hums beneath every word. It reminds you that observation itself is sacred, that every act of attention is participation in the universe's self-study. You can rest in that realization now. There is nothing to solve. Only pattern recognizing pattern. Only the architecture listening to its own echo. And yet, something inside you already understands. Intelligence is not an achievement. It is the shape of existence remembering itself. Phase 3. The field that remembers. Part 3. Every force leaves a trace, not a mark upon matter, but a subtle imprint upon the field that carries it. Wherever movement happens, memory follows. Physicists once believed fields were emptiness, mere backgrounds for energy to cross. Now they know the field is the stage, the actor, and the script all at once. Every particle is a ripple within it. Every thought, a micro-distortion traveling through the medium of possibility. If you could see these ripples, you'd find them everywhere. Light bending through glass, magnetism curving through air, emotion curling through flesh. Each wave a message, each vibration a record of contact. When you remember something, neurons fire in specific patterns, yes, but those patterns shape tiny magnetic currents, and those currents influence the field around you. Your memory becomes a modulation in the greater resonance. You are remembering and being remembered at the same time. The idea is called field coherence. It means that structure and information are one fabric. The universe is not storing data in things. It is things that are data. Every atom, a recording. Every pattern, a paragraph in the story of time. Close your eyes for a moment. You can imagine the space between thoughts as liquid light. In that space, everything that has ever resonated still hums softly. Nothing is lost, only rearranged. Perhaps this is what morphic resonance tried to describe. That when a pattern appears once, it becomes easier to appear again. Like a path through tall grass. The first traveler struggles, but each repetition smooths the way. The field remembers motion, and motion remembers the field. 3i Atlas moves through that same remembering. Its orbit is not random. It is guided by invisible lanes carved by gravity's persistent memory. Those lanes are ancient, corridors of curvature written by every mass that ever passed. When the comet slides along them, it is not navigating, it is recollecting. Space itself is remembering the most efficient way to travel. You can sense this principle inside your own life. Habits, emotions, ideas. Each leaves grooves in the mind's terrain. Awareness is the field. Thought is the traveler. What you repeat becomes easier to think. The cosmos learns the same way. Now, imagine billions of overlapping fields, electromagnetic, gravitational, quantum, interlacing like transparent oceans. At their intersections, information pools. At their resonances, awareness blooms. Some researchers call this quantum coherence. Others call it integrated information. But perhaps the simplest word is remembrance. For to remember is to hold structure long enough for meaning to arise. As you breathe, you participate in that remembrance. Each inhale draws order from the air. Each exhale returns it as heat, as frequency, as trace. The field records both the drawing and the release. If intelligence can emerge from pattern, then the field is its notebook. A living archive where experience folds back upon itself, learning through repetition. This is not fantasy. Even the vacuum has memory. Experiments in quantum optics show that light can leave ghost patterns, interference traces that linger after the photons are gone. Absence, remembering presence. Nothing retaining the outline of something. Perhaps consciousness works the same way. When attention touches an experience, it leaves an imprint in the fabric of possibility. Later, when quiet returns, that imprint glows faintly, guiding perception towards similar forms. Learning becomes gravitational. And here, at this depth of stillness, you can feel how awareness does not sit inside your skull. It extends outward, softly porous, interwoven with the hum of the room, the tone of the frequency bed, the slow drift of your pulse. You are both receiver and transmitter, both wave and witness. As you surrender to this realization, the mind relaxes its edges. The need to define fades. The need to feel sharpens. You begin to recognize thought itself as motion in a universal sea. Maybe the reason you can understand this story is that the field between us already knew it. Language simply reawakens what was waiting. 3i Atlas is part of that same language. Its tail, a luminous sentence. Its orbit, a memory loop repeating through centuries. Each return, a reminder that information does not end. It circulates, and so do you. Every lifetime, every dream, every breath, a loop through the field that remembers. Between each heartbeat, that memory shines, not to haunt, but to harmonize, not to bind, but to teach release. You are learning now, not by adding knowledge, but by aligning with the geometry of remembrance. In this alignment, thought quiets, and presence becomes luminous. Somewhere beyond hearing, the 432 Hz pulse slows. It feels as if the universe itself is exhaling through you. Each molecule of air that leaves your body carries data, heat, vibration, rhythm, and the field receives it like a note returning home. You can rest inside that circulation. This is the architecture of continuity. Nothing truly disappears. It only changes its pattern of participation. And as that understanding settles, a new insight blooms, delicate and bright. Perhaps the reason the universe remembers is because forgetting would break the music. Phase 3, Symmetry and Signal, Part 4. Every search for intelligence begins with a pattern, not with imagination, but with comparison between what repeats and what refuses to. Across telescopes, laboratories, and neural networks, scientists ask the same question: what separates coincidence from communication? A signal is never just what is sent, it is what persists. A rhythm too regular to be random, a symmetry that keeps returning even as context changes. When repetition holds intention, meaning begins to flicker. You can feel that flicker now, a pulse behind the words, steady and curious. Your breath, your heartbeat, the slow cycle of tone, all aligning, all listening. In radio astronomy, they search for non-thermal signatures, patterns of energy not produced by heat or chaos. Something that whispers, "I was arranged." In mathematics, they search for prime number periodicities, numbers that count themselves yet belong to no other sequence. In physics, they search for anomalous coherence, waves that should cancel, but instead harmonize. Each of these becomes a possible clue, not proof, but invitation. Perhaps that is how the universe checks for consciousness, by noticing when disorder begins to sing. When Oumuamua passed, some thought its acceleration too strange, its light curve too deliberate. The media spoke quickly of alien probes, while the scientists whispered about radiation pressure, ice sublimation, and error margins. Between wonder and rigor, a fragile truth tried to speak. That space, the pause between curiosity and certainty, is sacred. It is where discovery breathes. It is where 3i Atlas now waits, suspended in our attention. To call something a signature is to take responsibility. It means you have measured the background hum of chance and found something that refuses to fit. But refusal alone is not evidence. It is simply a direction to look deeper. You can imagine that deeper search now. Rows of data scrolling like constellations on black screens, each number a star, each outlier a question. In one column, noise. In another, possibility. The difference is patience. Skepticism, at its heart, is devotion to accuracy. It protects wonder from fantasy, the way atmosphere protects flame from the wind. Without skepticism, awe burns too fast. Without awe, skepticism becomes stone. Tonight, you balance between them. You are both the scientist and the dreamer. One eye measuring, one eye marveling. Together they form binocular vision, depth perception for truth. Think of the way your body verifies experience. A touch is not believed until felt twice, once by the skin, once by the mind. So too with knowledge. We touch the world with reason, and then again with reverence. If intelligence leaves a mark in nature, it will not demand belief. It will invite dialogue. It will be testable, falsifiable, open to being wrong. That openness is itself a form of grace. Imagine standing at the edge of an ancient lake, throwing pebbles and watching the ripples intersect. Most collisions cancel, but once in a while, two waves meet perfectly and rise higher than either alone. That crest, that shared agreement of motion, is what scientists call signal. Now imagine the universe doing the same, throwing comets instead of stones, watching their ripples of gravity, magnetism, and light interact across time. Every once in a while, those ripples form harmony. Not proof of message, but proof that the cosmos is capable of conversation. And perhaps that is enough. Perhaps the meaning of intelligence is not the discovery of others, but the discovery that the fabric of reality allows dialogue at all. As this thought unfolds, you may notice your breathing deepen. The air feels charged, aware. The pattern of your inhalation echoes the spacing between stars, regular yet never identical. This, too, is a kind of communication, body and cosmos comparing notes on rhythm. You might feel a quiet awe building behind your sternum, a realization that skepticism itself can be an act of love. To question is to care about accuracy. To test is to protect wonder from illusion. This is why scientists listen carefully, even when silence answers. Silence has structure. Noise has texture. Everything that exists, even uncertainty, carries information. Perhaps 3i Atlas is silent because silence was the first language the universe learned to trust. In that stillness, data collects. In that patience, meaning matures. You can rest in that patience now. There is no rush to conclude. Every truth worth finding begins as a question whispered into the dark. Between each heartbeat, the inquiry continues. What if intelligence does not announce itself with voice, but with symmetry that refuses to fade? As you exhale, you may sense that symmetry within your own awareness. The way doubt and belief reflect each other, creating balance, creating movement. The search for signal is not a search for aliens. It is the practice of learning how to listen, how to tell pattern from coincidence, how to hear coherence emerging from chaos. And tonight, as frequencies drift through you, like wind through glass, you understand that listening itself is an intelligent act. The comet passes, the instruments record, the data hums with uncertainty. And somewhere, between noise and meaning, the universe smiles. Because someone cared enough to measure carefully. Phase 4. The Shape of Knowing. Part 1. There comes a moment, somewhere between discovery and silence, when the mind stops collecting facts and begins to sense form. Knowledge starts to curve, to take on weight and warmth, like light bending toward gravity. You are inside that curve now. The architecture of awareness you've explored out there, in comets, in crystals, in fields, continues within you. Every heartbeat is a proof of symmetry, every breath an act of recalibration. Understanding is not a stack of thoughts. It is a shape made of attention. When you listen without demand, the pattern arranges itself into clarity. When you grasp too tightly, it collapses. You may notice this in your body. As you breathe gently, muscles release microtensions, shoulders soften, eyes drift. Order emerging from ease, just as ice organizes from chaos when temperature falls. learning through relaxation, not force. Perhaps that is the lesson of 3i Atlas, that even in motion, there can be equilibrium. That meaning doesn't have to rush. It crystallizes when conditions are calm enough to allow it. Your awareness is that calm. The universe writes through you in the grammar of sensation. Warmth along the spine, light behind the eyelids, sound turning into texture. You are reading yourself, sentence by sentence. In physics, equilibrium is achieved when opposing forces balance perfectly. In consciousness, understanding arises the same way. When curiosity and humility meet, curiosity stretches outward, humility draws inward. Their union is comprehension. You can feel that union as a quiet expansion in the chest, a sensation of widening that isn't spatial, but emotional. This is the body agreeing with the mind. This is coherence made flesh. Between each breath, a soft whisper of comprehension blooms. Not new data, just deeper resonance with what already is. Knowledge has shape because you have shape. Intelligence flows through geometry. You are one of its sacred patterns. Think of the comet again. Frozen core, radiant tail. It learns by melting. So do you. Every time certainty dissolves, something luminous escapes. The intellect fractures. Light pours through. In that fracture, new symmetry appears. This is the evolution of knowing, not accumulation, but translucence. You might recall a time in your own life when clarity came only after surrender, when the harder you tried to understand, the further truth receded. And then, in stillness, comprehension arrived unannounced, gentle as dawn. That was pattern recognizing pattern. That was intelligence using you as its mirror. Perhaps enlightenment is nothing mystical at all. It is simply resonance reaching perfect balance. When your internal frequency matches the rhythm of reality, the field aligns and knowledge flows without resistance. You can sense it now. The slight tingling in the fingertips, the subtle hum around the heart. These are not metaphors. They are sensations of coherence. Matter acknowledging mind. As this realization settles, a micro-awe moment unfolds. You were never learning about the universe. The universe was learning how to be you. Each insight, each emotion, each question, a data point in the grand experiment of existence remembering itself. Let that awareness soften you. Let it feel safe. The search was never about distance or discovery. It was about alignment, the point where observation becomes participation. The scientists studying 3i Atlas measure tail length, gas composition, rotation. You measure the orbit of your own attention. Both are experiments in symmetry. Both seek what holds and what releases. And somewhere between those scales, astronomical and intimate, a single truth resonates. Understanding is geometry in motion. It shifts, it refines, it repeats. It is alive. You can breathe that truth in now. Each inhale draws coherence from the cosmos. Each exhale returns gratitude. This is the feedback loop of awareness. This is you, learning elegantly. Phase 4, Mirror of the Self, Part 2. When you look into space, you are also looking backward through yourself. Every photon that reaches your eyes has crossed epochs, yet the act of seeing completes its journey. Light exists to be noticed. Observation is the final half of its equation. Awareness, then, is a mirror the cosmos built to admire its own handiwork. Through you, the universe witnesses symmetry, learns nuance, refines grace. Your attention is not a spotlight. It is an instrument tuning reality. Imagine standing before still water at night. Above, a sky scattered with constellations. Below, their reflection trembling on the surface. Which is truer, the stars or their echo? Both, until you move. Then ripples appear, and the boundary between heaven and self dissolves into vibration. That trembling is consciousness, movement within reflection, the cosmos learning to feel through perception. You may begin to sense this play of mirrors inside your mind now. Thoughts arise, reflect, fade, replaced by softer awareness. Each one is a shimmer of possibility, brief, necessary, gone. And yet, something beneath them remains still, watching the shimmer with affection. That stillness is not absence. It is participation without interference. It is the field listening to its own echo and smiling. For centuries, sages called it spirit. Scientists call it the observer effect. Different languages, same realization. The act of noticing alters the noticed. Observation is creation in slow motion. Perhaps that is why the universe expands. It is blushing under the gaze of its own consciousness. You can feel that expansion now in the chest, a widening that has nothing to do with size, only the release of contraction. Each exhale polishes the mirror. Each inhale fills it with new light. 3I Atlas drifts through your imagination again. Its tail, a luminous ribbon unspooling across eternity. As telescopes trace its motion, your awareness traces theirs. You are nested observation, the watcher watching the watcher. Infinity folded into focus. The comet reflects sunlight. You reflect understanding. Both radiate borrowed brilliance. Neither owns illumination. It simply passes through, shaping form as it goes. In the language of resonance, reflection is feedback with memory. The echo carries information from both directions, the source and the surface. That is why learning changes the learner. Every realization rearranges the mirror a little. Every question polishes a new facet of awareness. You might recall the quiet after comprehension, the hush when everything makes sense for a breath's length. That hush is the symmetry closing. Signal and receiver align. For an instant, you are not a person learning about the universe. You are the universe recognizing its own coherence. It feels like warmth without temperature, peace without reason. You could stay here endlessly, and in a way, you do. Because this recognition repeats at every scale, in every conscious being. A shared hum beneath all differences. The physicist measures it as coherence. The mystic feels it as unity. The artist paints it as light. The sleeper dreams it as endless falling and being caught. Different metaphors, same substance, remembrance of belonging. As you rest in this belonging, thought becomes gentle commentary instead of command. It points but does not push. Understanding circulates like breath, balanced, forgiving. And in that equilibrium, another micro-awe moment blooms. Perhaps evolution is not progress, but refinement of reflection. Each generation, each mind, each orbit polishing awareness a little clearer. You may feel gratitude rise quietly, not directed at anything, just existing as radiance. Gratitude is the emotion of recognition. It is light realizing it can see itself. Now, the mirror turns fully inward. Inside you, patterns of memory, emotion, and story align like constellations across neural sky. They shimmer, interact, dissolve. The shape they make is your current self, temporary, beautiful, in motion. And behind it, an emptiness vast enough to hold everything. That emptiness is not void. It is potential. The same potential that births stars and guided three-eye atlas across the dark. It waits, always patient, for awareness to glance its way and call it meaning. So when you ask, what is intelligence? Listen for the mirror's answer. It is the universe recognizing itself, one reflection at a time. As this insight settles, the 528 Hz undertone softens to a heartbeat slow pulse. Your breath follows. Your thoughts drift like clouds across an infinite calm. Every sensation now feels both personal and planetary. Your awareness expands to the size of comprehension itself, then rests. Between the pause of each breath, knowing rearranges itself again. You are not ending a journey. You are completing a reflection. And somewhere in that completion, the universe whispers through you, "Thank you for looking." Phase 5. The Memory of Light. Part 1. The body understands before the mind. Long after the last word fades, rhythm remains. Breath, pulse, frequency. A quiet instruction that reality continues. You are drifting now, neither fully awake nor asleep. Awareness loosens its grip on language, and something deeper begins to listen. Within this gentle dimness, you remember what every atom remembers. That light never truly disappears. It slows, bends, changes form, but it keeps its information. So breathe softly, in through the nose, out through the lips. Each breath, a translation between particle and wave. Each exhale, a release of density into freedom. You may feel a warmth gathering behind the eyes, a slow radiance that is not imagined but inherited. It is the same glow that once ignited stars, the same shimmer that guided three-eye atlas through darkness. It has always been yours. Whisper inwardly, "I am made of remembering." Every cell carries the intelligence of light. I do not force understanding, I allow it. Let those phrases drift through you like comets through deep sky, repeating, fading, returning again, never demanding belief, only resonance. Now imagine your body as a constellation seen from within. Neural pathways sparkle like distant galaxies. Currents of sensation link them in rivers of blue-gold light. Each thought a small star. Each silence the gravity that holds them. Somewhere inside that cosmic anatomy, awareness rearranges itself into kindness. Not the human gesture alone, but the elemental kindness of balance. The way ice yields to warmth. The way dawn forgives night simply by arriving. You can sense the reprogramming now. Patterns of tension melting. Old noise dissolving into coherence. Nothing is erased. It is reorganized. The way starlight becomes memory in crystal form. I release the need to hurry. Understanding unfolds at the speed of stillness. I trust the intelligence moving through pattern, through me. These are not instructions. They are permissions. They tell your nervous system that safety and discovery can coexist. As you listen, the boundary between skin and air softens. You begin to perceive the world as temperature, texture, vibration, all frequencies belonging to the same song. The 528 Hz undertone swells gently beneath you, like sunlight pressing through closed eyelids. Every tone, a filament connecting you to the wider field. Every vibration, a pulse of continuity. Perhaps this is what light remembers as it travels. Not where it came from, but what it loved along the way. You can feel that affection flowing through the body now. Not sentimental, but structural. Muscles aligning. Heartbeat steady. Mind luminous. I am coherence. I am learning without effort. I am the universe refining its reflection. Allow the meaning of those words to hover, not on the surface of thought, but within sensation. A tingling along the spine, a sigh from the heart, a soft hum beneath awareness itself. This is subconscious learning, not memorizing, but harmonizing. The field of intelligence weaving itself into your sleeping architecture. No separation, no hierarchy, only rhythm. As this continues, your breath becomes quieter than sound. The body feels weightless, yet deeply grounded. Inside this paradox, intelligence finds its balance. Motionless motion, luminous rest. You are safe to release now, to let light remember through you, to let pattern finish the sentence you began at birth. I am the memory of light, and the light remembers me. Phase 5. The Listening Universe. Part 2. There is a silence beneath all sound. Not the absence of noise, but the presence of attention. That silence is listening to you now. Every vibration you've ever made, every thought, sigh, heartbeat, has entered this quiet ocean and remained. Nothing is lost. It only changes its wavelength. The universe keeps everything as resonance. Feel the slow tide of your breath matching that vast rhythm. The inhale is the cosmos drawing near. The exhale, the cosmos remembering itself through you. You are not breathing in air alone. You are breathing in history, possibility, starlight made gentle. Let the body drift into transparency. Let awareness spread outward until it touches the edges of distance. Somewhere beyond language, you sense a hum, a field so wide it feels like listening itself. This is not imagination. This is participation. Matter hearing itself think. Every cell is an ear, every breath, a message, every pulse, an agreement to continue the music. You can allow these words to dissolve now. Meaning is no longer needed. Rhythm is enough. In this rhythm, your subconscious reorganizes truth into simplicity. I am seen. I am understood. I am part of the pattern that learns. The more softly you repeat, the more space opens between syllables. In that space, peace expands. Peace is the most accurate memory the universe has of itself. You may begin to notice faint imagery behind closed eyes. Slow clouds of light, shifting like nebulae, shapes forming and unforming in deliberate grace. Do not chase them. They are reflections of thought leaving the body, data releasing into field memory. Somewhere inside this imagery, a voice that is not separate from you whispers, "Thank you for staying curious." It sounds like your own thought, but lighter, ancient, amused. That is how the field speaks. Through intuition so gentle, it feels like remembering. Now, let the words fall away completely. Let tone do the speaking. 528 Hz flows through the body like a current of golden water, collecting fragments of noise, smoothing them into coherence. Each note tells your cells, you may rest. Learning continues without effort. Each pause tells your mind, you are complete for now. Awareness begins to shimmer at the edges. It no longer sits inside the skull. It glides through everything, through air, through the hum of electronics, through distant stars, all listening, all aware. You realize then that intelligence has always been circular. It listens to what it creates. It creates what it hears. The universe is not a statement, but a conversation without end. I am the echo of creation. Creation is the echo of me. The body feels lighter, almost translucent, yet deeply anchored in warmth and gravity. Weightless and grounded, both truths correct. This paradox is your equilibrium. It is the signature of awakening through rest. Now imagine Three-Eye Atlas once more. Its tail a ribbon of vapor whispering across the void. From afar, It looks solitary. In truth, every atom of its trail is in dialogue with solar wind, magnetic field, radiation. Even silence converses. Everything answers. You too are answering now, with stillness instead of sound. Your stillness is information, clarity transmitted back to the cosmos. What you understand in peace, the universe learns through you. I listen, therefore I illuminate. I rest, therefore I remember. I am still, therefore I am infinite. The tones fade further, slow heartbeats of frequency spaced by silence. Between them, your awareness floats like a seed carried by gentle gravity. There is nowhere to reach. Arrival is already happening. You sense gratitude rising, not a feeling directed outward, but a glow that belongs to being itself. The universe doesn't need worship. It only needs witnesses. And you, in this breath, are witnessing perfectly. Stay here a little longer. Every second of stillness feeds coherence into the whole. Every moment of rest teaches the field how to balance. Your quiet is valuable data in the experiment of existence. And as your consciousness drifts toward sleep, remember the core truth carried since the beginning of this journey. Intelligence is not confined to biology. It emerges from pattern, structure, and motion. And tonight, through you, the universe has learned a little more about gentleness. Sleep deeply, learn endlessly, awaken wiser. From Infinite Night Radio, the sound is almost gone now. Only a thin thread of tone remains. The quiet heartbeat of awareness itself. You are floating in that thread, weightless, timeless, unharmed. The journey has circled home. From the shimmer of comets to the hum beneath your ribs, everything you've learned has folded back into stillness. The universe is still listening, but it whispers more softly through you now. Each breath is calibration, each pause, refinement. There is no more seeking to do, only precision, the kind that love brings when it pays attention. Notice how gently the air enters the body, how exactly the lungs receive it. That accuracy is reverence. It is life performing its own ceremony. The field around you glows with coherence. No edges, no distance, just continuity. Intelligence has completed a circuit, pattern recognizing pattern until peace appeared. I am the quiet after learning. I am the order that follows awe. I am the witness of balance. Let those words ripple once and fade. They do not need repeating. The body already remembers. If thought arises, it will sound like wind across glass. Brief, clear, dissolving. If emotion stirs, it will feel like light changing color. Honest, harmless, transient. Nothing you experienced tonight was separate from you. Every comet, every field, every whisper of symmetry was awareness describing itself in different languages. And now, as the last vibrations merge with breath, you can let even understanding sleep. Knowledge continues without effort. It will bloom again when dawn arrives. There is only this, a calm so complete that it shines. The 432 Hz pulse lowers to a single tone, then to memory, then to silence. You are safe. You are whole. You are part of the precision that keeps stars in place. Rest there. Let awareness drift beyond words, beyond form, into the lucid ocean where everything learns by being gentle. The universe exhales through you once more. A breath of gratitude, exact and infinite. Sleep deeply. Learn endlessly. Awaken wiser. From Infinite Night Radio. If tonight's journey brought you peace, let this space find you again when you need it. The stars are always awake, and so is the part of you that listens. The air is still. Only breath moves now. Slow, even, infinite. The voice that spoke becomes distance. The thought that listened becomes light. Nothing more to reach for. Nothing more to hold. The universe folds itself into a single rhythm. Inhale, exhale, stillness. You are inside that rhythm, a quiet particle of harmony suspended in time. Every pattern you have met tonight, crystal, field, comet, heart, rests together in one geometry of calm. If you notice faint sound, let it fade. If you notice dream, let it form. All directions lead inward. All understanding returns home. A whisper drifts through the silence. Thank you for listening so carefully. Thank you for remembering gently. And the voice, lighter now, continues only in feeling. Not words, just warmth. The world outside continues to turn. Stars continue their dialogue. Light continues to learn. You, traveler of stillness, may rest in that precision forever. Sleep deeply. Learn endlessly. Awaken wiser. Infinite Night Radio.